What's up, guys? So, hey, listen, I'm watching everybody doing all their 2013 Halloween builds already, and I'm getting real jealous because hopefully Gene and I can finish up this project so we can get started. But I thought, you know what, I'll make a Halloween video. I had these guys out when I did Diablo's Haunter's Hangout show the other day with Gina, and putting them back away, and I thought I'll share these three stooges with you guys. They are basically all Walgreens skeletons inside some wood coffins that I built. They're out of plywood, and then I just trimmed them out with a 3/4 by 3/4 little piece of wood to get rid of the plywood edge. But they're pretty shallow pieces, and Gina stained them up and made them look all pretty. All of them have like some different kind of fabric or material, either some fake fur or some just some cloth that we kind of stained up, and covered these guys with a bunch of spray cobwebs and stuff. What I did once I got these Walgreens skeletons is this middle guy, Larry, he is not hooked up to any kind of pneumatics, but basically I just corpsed him with shrink wrap and a heat gun and painted him up. Most of the paint on him is all glow in the dark, so when you throw a black light on him, he glows really good. All three of them have a RGB LED light that I placed inside the skull, and I basically made a slit back here and just stuck the light up against this back edge. The wire that I use is an RGB 20 gauge LED wire, and I just ran it down through the body, zip tying it along the way and then going out the back. Another thing that I did to all these guys, even the guys that were on my gate and hangman guys, is I reinforced all their joints, because a lot of people have these Walgreens skeletons. They're kind of flimsy. They have this little tab and stuff, and they break real easily or pop out. So I just drilled a bunch of holes and ran some tie wire through and twisted, and I just reinforced all the joints. I also made a lot of the connections with the same stuff. So I've tied it at the wrist, tied it at the hands, did the shoulders, and I also did the actually, this one's not done. I must have been slacking that day. But then he is also attached to the coffin through some holes that I drilled through the wood, and that attaches his pelvis area. And then what I did down here is I just ran some screws and kind of attached his feet to the wood. His legs are pretty free because I wanted him to kind of flop around as much as possible. But going to the back here, you can see there's a clevis fitting that's on the end of the cylinder that I have, and I mean, it's pretty crude, but basically I just used tie wire and twisted them around there, and then when it goes in and out, he goes in and out with it. So there's no fancy framing or anything like that. It's just real simple, but it worked, and it's pretty effective. Now, even though this worked for last Halloween, one of the things I am going to do is basically put like a support bar that goes down his spine in between where this clevis is and the plastic, because just from thrashing around and stuff, it kind of busted up his spine a little bit. This is just real flimsy and stuff, so it's just extra support. But again, it doesn't have to be anything too crazy, because the more he kind of wiggles around and stuff, I think the better. This guy is basically the same way, except that I didn't have another clevis fitting, so I just went into the hardware store in the section that has like all the ties and the framing brackets and stuff, and I found myself a little piece of galvanized metal and kind of cut it up and drilled some holes and made my own little clevis that I ran the wire through, and it's attached the same way. But these guys just, they stay stuck into this position, and then when you set off the valve, it just shoots out. It's not a real long throw, but it's definitely enough to give some people some scares. Alright, so in the coffin, you'll notice that I cut just a square hole to where the nut that attaches the cylinder to its mounting bracket, so it had clearance and would go as far through here as possible to just get as much out of this throw as I could. And just in the back, here's what I did. I mean, I just basically built a flat bracket for this thing to mount to. I've got 1/4-inch fittings, push fittings, and you know, you can just see it's just screwed right on. There's a valve. I've got flow control, and you use mufflers to try to quiet it down. And on the solenoid, I just wired an Edison plug to it, and then basically I can plug this into an extension cord, run it to either my manual control or a motion control sensor that I set up, and it is tripped off that way. One other thing that I wanted to share with you guys is this 1/4-inch hose. If you go to, like, I think I get most of my stuff through either like McMaster, Granger, or there is a supply store called Comoso that's here in town. They sell, they're like a dealership for Parker pneumatic parts, and you guys should check out their website, see if you can find a local distributor in your town, because it's really cool to kind of compare some of the prices and shop around. You'll find that you know, they're not that expensive when you start kind of just investigating on your own. I know that this hose though is pretty pricey stuff, and this, I don't know if any of you guys have used this stuff, but this is actually water hose to an ice maker. It's exactly the same OD, and it works just as good. And since this is low pressure, you know, it's plenty safe. It works awesome, pushes right in, and it's like a fraction of the cost. So just something to keep in mind for those of you that are just getting started with your pneumatic stuff. Down here I just have, like, this runs to the air compressor, and then here's that wire that came through, that RGB wire, and basically the like in my LED lighting video, the yellow is the power, and then I've got my red, green, blue wires. For hooking up these guys, basically, as far as the air goes, I just have a bunch of these 1/4-inch couplings, and I can link all the hose together that I need to if I have these things all the way out into the yard or in the maze, and I have it connect to my air compressor. Since there's 2 of them here, I've got this T that I basically took 3 of those 1/4-inch connectors, and I've got it linked down to one that connects to a shutoff valve, and then the air hose fitting, and that will then connect to the air compressor, and then that gives me control to shut it off and stuff. Now, as far as activating the electrical part, I then plug in each one of the relays or the solenoids, and run the cord all the way to, I've got a couple of these that I made. They're just manual control boxes, which we used the first couple years in our haunt to just, you know, shoot a air cannon off and that kind of thing. If you guys want, I can rip this thing apart and show you guys how I made it. But this has 6 buttons, so I can control 6 props. All the cords go to Edison, female Edison plugs, and I can plug them all in. I've got them all laid. I've got everything numbered, and I'll run, you know, numbering on all my cords so I know which cord I'm looking at. And then you just have to plug this. It has to have one power cord to go in, and basically I can just sit there and hit buttons all day long and fire everything off. Alright, so I have all my power cords plugged in. I have my air going in on both of them, all plugged in, running all the way down here to my splitter, and then the splitter then gets, oh hey, another thing too, guys, sometimes I've heard some people say, like, they have problems with these fittings leaking. You know, a lot of people already know this, but if the squarer cut you can make, the better, to try to prevent a lot of that leaking. And then on all my fittings, when I go to screw all these in, I will, like, wrap the plumber's tape like 4 or 5 times and then put it on. And these things don't have to be tight, man. You just get them basically snug, and they should be good. Shouldn't have any leaking problems. Even on the cheap ones, you know, sometimes you do have issues, but let's see if I can get this in. Push this fitting in, turn on the air. Got air supply. I go over to our control box. I've got them turned kind of down right now because when they were in our living room and we were on Haunter's Hangout. All right, guys. Well, there's the 3 Stooges, and thanks for watching. And now I'm gonna go untangle this.